Junior Dos Santos hits hard, but that first fight, you know. But I said it too, going into that fight, just thinking last, you know, 5 seconds or 5 rounds. Who knows? You never know with the heavyweights.
A lot of people are saying that was a fluke, right? You know, John even alluded to that in his question. Yet, you know, I think in UFC 99, how many times was Cain down by Czech Congo?
Right.
So,
well, it's tough to call a knockout a fluke by a guy who knocks everybody out.
Right.
You know, if Junior Dos Santos normally went to decisions and he knocked him out in you know 50 seconds, then you can call it a fluke.
Right.
But Junior Dos Santos knocks everybody out, so tough to call it a fluke.
But do you think in any way is that Cain's, you know, kind of weakness? Whereas, you know, we saw against, you know, Czech, he was down a number of times from shots. And
well, I think Cain has a better chin than people give him credit for. Czech Congo's a big guy, and in Czech Congo's heyday, he's another guy who knocked a lot of people out. You know, and he took Czech Congo's best shots and recovered from them.
Right.
Actually, when Hill asked what his favorite performance was, that was my favorite performance. Cain Velasquez was the Czech Congo fight. I love that fight. I thought he proved a lot in that fight.
Do you think that line of questioning then, you know, kind of underrates Junior, because it seems like he's beaten, you know, Cain, he's beaten Frank Mir, he's beaten so many good guys, and yet he doesn't get credit, you know, for being this elite guy that maybe some people think he is.
No doubt about it. I absolutely think that, you know. You know, he's such a nice guy and so, you know, monotone, and he just, you know, he doesn't have the, you know, people aren't giving that guy the respect he deserves. No doubt about it. I mean, and maybe Saturday, if this fight's more of a war and he ends up doing the same thing, people will really start giving him the credit he deserves.
You get to see the guys in the back room, you know, where we don't see them. And do you get the sense that he, you know, he's fighting this fight with something to prove, even though he's the champion, that, you know, I have to prove something because I'm not getting the credit that I should?
Not really. You know what I like about Junior? You know, when we sit down and we talk about stuff like this, and I said this, I don't remember when I said it a while ago or whatever, but we went to lunch one time in LA, and he was sitting there telling me how bad he wants to knock Alistair Overeem out. It's like, I want to knock this guy out so bad I can't stand him, he's a punk, and all this stuff. And for him to say that, you know, it's not his, so he really doesn't like Alistair Overeem. But he said, you know, the thing that's driving me crazy is I want to knock Alistair Overeem out, but Cain Velasquez deserves this title shot.
Right.
He's the guy that deserves the shot, you know. I know that this is the guy that I should fight, but I want to knock Overeem out, you know?
Right. Can you talk about the first fight? Obviously, when we find out afterwards that both guys are hurt, you know, all the conspiracy theorists say, hey, these guys were told, let's fight. This is on Fox, it's our main event. You know, I know maybe you're both hurt, but we really need to keep this main event together and not lose.
Yeah, no. Ariel asked me that yesterday. I had no knowledge of either one of them being injured going into the fight. You know, and there's situations where, let's say you have a, you know, let's say you screwed up your ACL. Guys have fought in the UFC with no ACL. You know, so it all depends on.
Who was it?
Rico Rodriguez didn't have an ACL. So you know, you've got different situations for different guys depending on their injuries. It's very rare, like in the NFL or most sports, where a guy goes in 100%, you know, where he doesn't have some little nagging injury or whatever. But what you don't do is you don't send a guy in to fight with an injury that's so bad that you're really putting him in danger.
In light of how many main events and big fights you lost this year, do you respect the fact that they both stepped up and did that, or do you feel like, gosh, I wish you guys would have told me?
I do, but I would expect nothing less from those two. That's the way that those two are. You know, I get some guys call up with a hangnail. They can't fight, you know what I mean? And then there's guys that, you know, could go in with one arm. It's so true. And you meet all kinds of different fighters. Some don't care about anything. Some feel like no matter how bad the injury is, it goes away once they step in there. You know, and the adrenaline starts, and you know, there's all different types of people that fight in this sport.
You know, when you look at like Major League Baseball or the NFL, you know, Adrian Peterson was out 9 months with the ACL. You know, he's back. Strasburg with the Tommy John surgery, you know, they shut him down because of concern. So, you know, you got to think that a guy that has that kind of injury probably was not anywhere close to 100% in that.
The ACL is a crazy injury.
That's when you're kicking a lot like he was.
Well, it's lateral movement too.
Yeah.
You can barely move laterally if you have that. You know, your leg goes out on you. Again, but Rico Rodriguez fought without an ACL. Had no ACL whatsoever. So
who did he fight with? Do you know who that was?
He fought tons of times. He didn't have an ACL the whole time. He was so you know, you never know. Different things for different people. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, in a perfect world, you want every guy to be 100% healthy when he goes in there. No nagging injuries, no, you know. Another time I found out after, what's his name? He's my champion. What's his name? Dominic Cruz. Yeah, Dominic Cruz. He went into a fight with his hand all messed up, you know, and he still threw punches like his hand wasn't messed up.
That was a Mighty Mouse fight.
Yeah, that kid is just, you know, you got these guys that are just tougher than nails, and Dominic Cruz is one of those guys. He's like, yeah, I don't give a shit what breaks or what happens or whatever, I'm fighting. You know, you got guys like that.
You alluded to at the podium that, you know, you're not sure how this fight will do because of the time frame. This is a really significant fight, so why would you actually put this in this time frame when you're not sure how it will do?
Well, you never know. I don't ever know how fights.
But I mean, you know, you kind of have a feeling, hey, GSP is going to come through with a big event or somebody.
GSP was gone for a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Right. No, I know that.
And he's the biggest pay-per-view star in the sport.
Right.
You know, I don't have to worry or guess on what he's going to do. You know what I mean? I know what he's going to do. But yeah, this is one of those fights around the holidays. The one thing that I do like, unfortunately, for all the people in the East Coast and the Midwest, there's a massive snowstorm. They're shutting down flights. People can't travel. So I like when people are snowed in. That's always good for me.